we want to take a brief about the nervous system, that what is actually the nervous system. If you know the nervous system, so later on then it will be easy for you to learn what is the neuron, and then the second lesson and the third lesson then it will be easy. Okay, who can define for me the nervous system? Anyone who can define the nervous system? Yes. The system that
that is full of symptoms that tell your brain that you are touching something, feeling pain, happiness.
feeling happiness. Okay, so nervous system. First of all, if you look to the listen to the chapter, so chapter number 15, 31 we have. It is about the nervous system. In this, we are going to study the components of the nervous system. The first we have the neuron. Neuron is the unit of the nervous system, which make the nervous system, right? If you look to the types of the nervous system, so we have two types of nervous system, CNS and PNS, right? Central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. And then we have the sense organ. So overall, if you look to the nervous system, it will be what? It is sensory system, right? In which we are going to sense something. In which we are going to sense something, like you can see something, right? This is how we see something, right? Like for example, you touch something, it is hot or cool. There is sense smell, right? These are all things what feel something. These are all with the help of the nervous system we are doing. So some brief discussion here we have about the nervous system, right? The main component, if you look, the main component is like if you look to the animal. So the main thing in the animal body is what? The main thing in the animal body is cell, right? The unit of the body is cell, right? So if you look to each system, so then each system has a separate unit. If you look to the nervous system, so the nervous system has a unit neuron, right? One neuron cell. The previous lesson which we took was about the urinary system, right? Excretory system or urinary system. What was the unit of excretory system? What? The previous lesson which we took about the excretory system. So nephron was the unit of the kidney, right? Or you can say the unit of excretory system. So the same if you look here in the case of the nervous system. So the unit for the nervous system will be what? The unit for the nervous system will be neuron. So now the point is, if you look any part of the body, right? Like you can see in the diagram, right? The diagram you can see the red lines, right? Almost the red lines cover every part of the body, right? The red points which you can see, it's almost cover all parts of the body. Each and every corner of the body is covered with this red points, right? You can see small red points, right? These all, right? Some main are there, but from some main there are branches arise, and sub branches are further there. It means that the neurons or the nervous systems, it will be present where? It will be present all over the body. Where? Is there any place which do not have nervous system? Is it possible or not? In your body? In your body, any place is possible that it do not have neurons. It do not have nervous system. It's not possible, right? Our entire body is rich with what? With neurons. So all the body have neuron, mean all the body has nervous system. The nervous system consists of two divisions. The central nervous systems containing the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous systems, which is a network of nerves and the neural tissue branching out throughout the body. If you look to the nervous system, so nervous system is divided. The first point, the first lesson which we will study, it is the neuron, right? Neuron, the unit of what? The unit of the nervous system, neuron, or the function of neuron, all these things. The second lesson we have types of the nervous system. So we have two divisions. two types we can say. One we have central nervous system and other we have peripheral nervous system. Central nervous systems contain only brain and spinal cord, while peripheral nervous system contains rest of the nerves in the body, right, which arise from the brain and from the spinal cord. Mean all the network which you can see, right, these are the network. Brain, this part, right, and spinal cord, this main central line you can see, spinal cord, right. So this two consist of what? Central nervous system, which we also call CNS, right? CNS. C, central and central nervous and S system. And PNS, peripheral nervous system. So all the branches which arise from the brain or either from the spinal cord. So look here, all these branches arise from where? From the spinal cord or either, right? So this all rest of the part belong to what? Rest of the part belong to the peripheral nervous system, right? First, central nervous system, which has only two parts, brain and spinal cord. The rest of the entire networks of the neurons or nerve cells, right? Or nerve networks, it is peripheral. Clear? And the third, the fourth lesson which we will study the sense. So sense organs we have how many? We have 5 sense organs, right? Smell, sense, touch, taste, vision, and one more. What is the other one? Sense of smell, sense of touch, skin, sense of taste, sense of vision, and taste.
Feelings.
One
Touch. Smell.
smell. 5 we have, right? Other we have smell. So 5 we have, 5 senses we have. That is the fourth lesson which we will study. So now we will come to our first lesson, which we are supposed to start.
Please tell me what's going on. No.
Okay, so the first point here which we are going to discuss is the first lesson, and that is about what? That is about the neuron, right? So all we will study about the neuron in the first lesson. We will try. Okay, we will try to finish half of the lesson today, right? It is easy lesson, but if you understand. Okay, what is the function of neuron? The first point which we are going to discuss about the neuron. Now, if I ask what is neuron, anyone can define or not? Neuron. What is neuron? What is neuron? Neuron is a unit of the nervous system, right? It is a unit of the nervous system. Nervous system impulses are transmitted by the cell called neuron. All the function which is carried out by the nervous system, first it will be detected by what? By the neurons, right? Sit straight, all the students. Sit straight. Neuron is what makes it sensitive. Yes. Nervous system impulse are transmitted by the cell neuron. So meaning that the impulse which are generated or which are received, it will be taken by what? It will be taken by the neuron. The message carried by the neurons by the nervous system or electrical signal called impulses, right? Or signal we are also saying. We are also using the word signal for this. Nervous system's impulses are transmitted by cells called neuron. Right. So these signals which are transmitted from one place to another place is called the signals or the impulses which is generated by the nervous system. Right. So their transmission will be occurred with the help of a cell, and that cell we call neuron. Right. That cell we call neuron. Now, if we look to the type of neurons, so we have three major type of neurons. How many type of neuron we have? We have three different type of neuron. The neuron can be classified into three types according to the direction which is impulse travels, right? So based on its function, it is divided into three categories, right? Into three classes. One is sensory neuron, motor neuron, and interneuron. Sensory neuron, motor neuron, and interneuron. If you look to the name, sensory neuron, right? So carry impulse from the sense organ. Like for example, you touch any surface and it is too cold or too hot. Sit straight. Sit straight. If you touch any surface, it is too hot or too cool. So which part of your body will sense it? Let's suppose you touch any surface and it is too hot or too cool. Skin. Skin, right? So means skin has which neuron? Which type of neuron? Sensory neuron, right? Sensory neuron. Let's suppose you are going to eat food, some delicious food, and when you touch it to your tongue, right? So mean your tongue also contain sensory neuron, but it will be sensory neuron for the taste, right? Here for the taste of touch, for the sense of touch, right? So it will be different. Okay. Sensory neuron carry impulses from the sense organs such as the eyes and ears to the spinal cord and brain, right? I'm talking, you're listening, right? So the sound my tongue is producing, which part of your body is going to receive or sense it? Ear, right? So ear will receive and ear will transmit it to where? To the brain or either to the spinal cord, right? Okay. Beside this, the example which I give you for skin, that's also valid example. The example for the test, that's also valid, right? Beside this, you can see something, right? You are seeing something. You are also sensing it, right? So this, like for example, I am seeing the board. So from the board, my eyes are getting signals, right? It is sensing it, and it's giving it to what? To the further nervous system. The next one we have motor neurons. Motor neurons carry impulses from the brain and spinal cord to the muscle and glands. Okay. From the to the muscle and gland. Let's suppose. Look. This is what? Like let's suppose. I see. Look. He said when he touched it, right? And he said, I said, wake up. So my wife he received with the ears, right? So that message, that signal is given to the brain, right? That signal is given to the brain by which? By sensory nerves. Sensory nerves is present where? In the ears, right? So when the message is given by the sensory nerves to the brain, so brain took decision and it gave signal back with the help of the motor neuron to what? To the organs or to the glands, right? So the tongue is an organ, right? Yeah. And he said, I'm awake. This is the phenomena which is occurred with the with the help of the nervous system. Okay, third one we have interneuron. Now in between these two, like I ask and he responds, right? I ask, he responds, or someone hits a person and he responds. So what happened in between them, right? So that is interneuron process information from sensory neuron and then send command to the other interneurons or motor neuron, right? The entire phenomena which occurs in between them, taking the message from the sensory neurons, right? Like from the ear, from the skin, from the eye, from the nose, from the tongue, chest, right? and giving it to the brain and taking its response from the brain and giving it back to the other system. The other system should be skin, should be hands, right? Should be legs, right? Or should be any internal organs, like brain should be there. Endocrine system should be there, right? Like for example, if you're not eating from last 10 hours, right? So mean that signal will be generated from your stomach. And that signal will go to brain or spinal cord and it will stimulate your brain and spinal cord that now feeling you are feeling hungry. You didn't eat from last 10 hours. So your brain will stimulate and it will create a signal and it will give it back to the concerned part and you will look for what? For food. Right? To eat. You will think about to eat food from where I can. So let's suppose you are at home and it is present in the kitchen. So you will walk toward the kitchen and you will check the food. So this all phenomena occur from the. Beside this, it's not a simple process. Beside this, there are many enzymes involved, right? Like for example, how you will feel hungry. I mean, your stomach produces enzyme, right? So that are stimulatory enzyme. It will stimulate further more enzyme and it will give signal to the brain that we need something to eat. Right? We need energy. So different kind of signal should be there. These three types is clear: sensory, motor, and interneuron. It's clear to all? If there is any question, you can ask me. It's clear or not? Now we have the structure of neuron. The structure which is given in your book on page number 897, or which you can see here on the screen. It is a very simple structure, right? As like the neuron, it is a very yes. Okay, so draw and label the neuron as we go through the next 7 slide, right? So in the next 7 slide, you will see what is the structure of neuron, right? Here you can see a rough structure, right? Starting from here, right? All the parts you can see, right? The largest part of the typical neuron is called cell body, right? The cell body, you can see this part, right, which contain the nucleus is called cell body of the neuron, right? Which contain the nucleus. The largest part of the neuron is called cell body, right? It will mostly look like a thick, right? A thick place. Which contains the nucleus in much of the cytoplasm. If you look to this part, right? So this is nucleus and this is cytoplasm, right? If you look in these parts, we don't have much cytoplasm, right? Or any other things, right? So most of the cytoplasm, it is located in the cell body, right? And in the center of the cytoplasm, here we will have a nucleus. Spreading out from the cell bodies are short branch extension called dendrites. The extension which you can see, right? The extension which you can see from the cell body, this extension is called what? This extension is called dendrites, right? What? Dendrites. This is the second part of the neuron. Dendrites receive impulses from the neurons and carry impulses to the cell body. So, dendrites, the function of dendrites that it receives signals from other neurons, from other cells, from other neurons, and give it to the cell body. Right? Give it. Let's suppose it's take signals from surrounding neurons, which it has surrounding, and take it and give it to the cell body, into the center. Right? Axon. Yes. Okay. The long fiber that carry impulses away from the cell body is called axon. Axon is the thread-like structure or the long fiber-like structures, right, which is present on the other side, opposite to that of the dendrites from the cell body, right? So the function, if you look at the function of the axon, so it's carry messages away from the cell body. Nervous system is not working. No? Your nervous system is not working. Wait a minute. Both. Why? Which time you sleep? Before you get. Which time you sleep at night? Why? Why? You are supposed to sleep at 10 o'clock. Because you are studying. You are coming some. You are coming 7 or 8 o'clock to school. I have general classes at school. Studying at 11. So don't study at 11. Yeah, of course. Just start it before, like, let's suppose you are starting it at 6 o'clock, or 4 o'clock, or 5 o'clock. Start it 1 hour before. So at the day, in the daytime.
Because I go to the school, German course, they teach you.
But if you are missing this, so this is not good. Okay, now in the exam part, if you look in the exam part, we have some other parts also, right? Some small parts, which is myelin sheet, nodes, and axon terminal. Axon terminal is the third one we will see, right? Axon ends in the series of small swelling called axon terminal. Axon terminal means terminal is a point which terminates something, right? Terminal is a point which ends something. So axon terminal, the point at which axon finish, at which the axon ends. This part look like detritus, right? But it's not detritus. It is the part of the axon. In some neuron, the axon is surrounded by insulating material known as myelin sheet, right? If you look to the axon, so axon is a thread, right? It is a thread, this red thread which comes off this, right, in the center. But if you look in some neuron, the axon is surrounded by what? By an insulating membrane, which is known as myelin sheet, like lipid, right, or like fats. The myelin sheet that surround a single long axon has many gaps called nodes, where the axon membrane are exposed. So that place means the junction between two myelin sheet, right, or the place between two myelin sheet in which the axon, in which you can see the axon, this place or that point is called node, right? That place or that point is called node. It's clear? As an impulse moves along the axon, it jumps from one node to the next, right? From one node to the next. This arrangement causes an impulse to travel faster than it would through the axon without myelin sheet. Let's suppose the signals start from here or from this point and it reach here. And this signal is traveling from this point of axon to the axon terminal, right? From the axon start or from the cell body to the axon terminal. You can see here we have what? We have myelin sheets. What is the use of myelin sheet? Let's suppose the impulse is at this point, at the start of the axon. So it will not travel throughout this, right? It will just jump from one anode to another anode, and it will make the speed of the impulse faster as compared to traveling in the entire axon, right? So it will just jump from one point, from one anode to the next anode, and thus it will make it faster, the impulse to move. Okay, I will show you from another diagram also. Okay. Just have a look again from here. Yes.
No.
Yes, you can. Don't talk. Okay, from another diagram, let me show you. Please don't talk. Just stay quiet for a while. Just stay quiet for 5 minutes. Okay, Sami, what you learn about the neurons? Yes.
There are three types.
Just quiet. I asked from him. Yes.
There are three types of neurons. Sensory neurons, which are present in the skin. So you can sense if something is cold or not. Something like that.
So that is what?
Sensory neurons.
That is sensory neuron. What happened? Okay, look here now. We have three types, as I already explained. Three types we have. What are the three? Sensory, motor, and interneuron. Right? Neurons are the nerves, the structure, and the functional units of the nervous system. If you are looking for the definition of neuron, so here you have the definition of neuron, right? That neurons are what? Neurons are the nerve cells, mean the structural and functional units of the nervous system, which make the entire nervous system. They conduct impulses that enable the body to interact with its internal and external environment, right? So they will conduct an impulses that will enable the body to interact with its internal and external environment. There are various types of neurons. The tissue that support the nerve cells are called neuroglia, right? So this is not for you. You have only the three types which we will study, right? Which is motor neuron, first sensory, then motor, and then interneuron. The motor neuron usually have one axon and several dendrites, right? So one axon, this part, and several dendrites, these, right? So we have many dendrites. This is neuron cell, one neuron unit, one neuron, right? The same which you have in your book, but in your book it's in this direction, and here we have in upward direction. The axon is axon is covered with an insulating fatty layers called myelin sheet. These which you can see, this is called myelin sheet, right? Myelin sheet, and this part which start from the cell body and end at the axon terminal. This part is called axon, and transmit a signal long distance from the neurons to the area to be activated. Dendrites are short and unsheathed. Motor neurons cause muscle contraction and control secretion from glands and organs. If you look to the function of the dendrites, right, motor neurons, so the function of the motor neuron is to cause the muscle contraction and control of secretion from glands and from the organs. The three main types is shown here: sensory neurons, interneuron, and motor neuron. Right, three types we have, and the way in which the stimulus or the nervous system will function. Right, so the nerve receptors, which will be present In what? In your body, right? If it is from the skin, so the skin. If you're talking about the chest, so it will be on the tongue. If you are going to talk about the sight, so it will be in the eyes, right? Hearing, it will be in the ears, right? So these we have, all will be received. It first, it will be received by these organs, right? We can say nerves, receptors. Then it will be given into the sensory neurons, which is present in your body, and then sensory neuron will give that message to the interneuron. Interneurons will give it to the brain or spinal cord, and then to the motor neurons to act on it, to perform function on it, right?
I'm not responsible for pain also.
Sorry,
Pain. Are they responsible for pain?
for pain, it's a nervous system. Yes, it will feel.
So, let's say someone can't feel pain. You not be able to sense.
So then, in which condition?
The
Paralytic condition,
nervous system, but which he can't feel pain, but still sense.
coma,
Coma,
paralytic condition. Huh?
I think it's from his brain.
Look,
He's saying
we have
somebody-
at the end of this lesson. At the end of this lesson, we have failure to nervous system, right? So failure to nervous system means that if nervous system is not working, right? So sometimes we've seen a lot of accident that in which the spinal cord is damaged, right? So if the spinal cord is damaged, let's suppose it's damaged in the 14 vertebra or any part or any place in the body. So the body which is down from that spinal cord area, it will be paralyzed. You will not feel it. It will be alive, but there will be no nervous system, right? Let's suppose you have nervous system for this hand, right? The main nerves, which we see here on the first slide, which I show you. So let's suppose the nerves cut at this point, right? So when your entire hand you will not feel your hand, but it will be fine. You can even, it can be alive. All the cells will be fine.
No, in this situation, you can't feel his hand. You can't sense that pain. But when it comes to pain, you can feel.
No, I don't know exactly about it. That's what happens. But paralytic condition we have. But about the pain, then the receptor which is responsible for pain, it will not working, because sometimes it happens that we have senses, right? Different sense we have. So most of the times, the sense of taste, people are not going to feel taste, right? Or they are not going to sense the smell. So only the concerned receptor, which is for sense of taste or for sight, it will not work. So maybe it is possible that the receptor which is responsible for pain, so it will not work.
So what about people who get sick? They can't smell or don't taste.
So it is the receptor, it's not working, right? We have threshold frequency. I had in this lesson or in the next lesson. Threshold frequency. Yes, we have in the same lesson. Threshold frequency is the frequency of the receptors, right? Like taste, skin, touch, eat. When it's increased from that, you cannot feel. When it's decreased from that, you cannot feel. Threshold frequency of the same.
It needs to be balanced.
It needs to be in the hemostatic condition, so then you can feel. Like same like the sound range. We can listen. We can hear sound range from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz.
Yes, I know.
If it is down 20, we cannot. If it is above, we cannot.
What about sometimes in war, somebody his hand has been cut because a big scar, something like this. They put like propane.
Yes.
Yes.
Propofol.
Propofol. Not like this. They don't feel anything.
Yes. So it is sedative medicine.
Huh?
It is sedative medicine. Sedative.
This.
Sedative. Sedative mean which can keep your nervous system asleep for a short period of time, not for long.
Yes,
Short.
it's just maybe 3 hours to 2 hours.
Yes. So we have it's ranging. Anesthetic drugs ranging from 5 minutes up to 6 hours. Right. So it can happen. Okay. So your lesson is finished. Your lesson is finished. If you have any questions still, you can ask me.